Is it good?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll just get started. So for those of you that don't know me, I think I know most people here. My name is Mr. Birch, Jason Birch. I teach social studies here at the high school. Currently teach 10th grade world history, 11th and 12th sociology, and that's it right now. Next summer, or next semester, I'll be teaching a course on the Holocaust, which is one of the reasons why we ended up going to this trip versus some other ones. So first off, this is the informational meeting for our Let's Go to Europe, Germany, Czech Republic, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary trip. I'm not going to be Czech Republic and the Slovakia portion of it. We just drive through there, so I don't know if we're stopping and going to the bathroom anywhere, but I don't know if we're actually going to get to go to Slovakia. I know we bust through it, so still kind of cool. This should start. Jenny, do this.
Does that make you a sticker for your passport that you went to Slovakia?
It started up before, didn't it?
Yeah, sorry.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Garcia. I went to Indian High School in Chavadal. I come from the Hispanic and Latino community. Culture is always, you're staying here with me, you're going to be here by me, you're going to stay here. You're not going to go far away. There were disagreements. Trauma was dreaming. The option of being able to travel was really exciting. Being able to know that there was an actual trip planned to go to Japan and that I might actually be able to go. Being given the okay and the opportunity to go was just amazing. And being in a different country was really cool. I met great people, I ended up making friendships, I got to learn about their culture, I got to learn about how they did what they did and why they did it. Teachers and adults need to start talking about traveling and making it an option. Because I know I'm very, very grateful for my travel leader because if it weren't for her wanting to open that door for us, I would have gone and I wouldn't have the travel bit. I wouldn't want to continue to go to different places or it would just be hard to me and I wouldn't actually be able to do it. Everything you know that they're giving the kid a chance of a lifetime, that they're opening the door to something amazing, and that they're going to be so entirely grateful for it.
Okay. So a quick snapshot, that's a video from a student that went to Japan. He wanted to go to Japan, but Japan's really expensive. So that might be 5 years down the line after we do a few of these trips and we're like, okay, we're gonna hit up Japan. So what we're gonna go through today, and honestly, 20-25 minutes is kind of my guess of how long it should take us to go through this. It's our second time doing it. Last year, I think the last time we did it, I think it was about that. And then if you guys have questions or anything like that, you can ask us. We can hopefully get whatever you need answered. So just kind of go through the intro, what's our itinerary is going to look like, what's included, who EF is, what they do, the safety, the support they give you, and then lastly, the ever important, what's the price and how do we get signed up? So my name is Jason. I didn't have time to put my picture up here, but look, it's me. Pretend I'm up there. And one of the things that I travel for a lot of different reasons. Honestly, we didn't travel a whole lot when I was younger. Outside of going to Milwaukee or, pretty much it. My dad took me to Canada once, I think, to go fishing, which was super cool and it was really fun. But it wasn't until I got married and my wife, she traveled a lot when she was a kid. And so one of the things that we've done once our kids got older is we started to kind of just hit up different places in the US and try to go cool stuff. And I always she plans a lot of stuff. I'm the kind of guy who I don't like to do stuff, which is funny because we're going to do these trips and that's kind of what they are. However, I honestly wouldn't trade a lot of it because we've done so much cool stuff and we've seen so many cool things that you get experiences, and that's something that you can't get by staying here. And some of the stuff that we've seen is, I'm like, how are we not in a movie right now? You know, like, you ever been to Alaska? Like, oh my goodness, go to Alaska. Like, it's insane. It's super fun, super cool. I was fortunate enough last year with my church to go to Germany. It was the first time I've been I've been over to Europe, and so that was cool. I was like, dang, that's where my family's from. Like, a lot of my ancestors come from that German area, that Eastern Europe area, which is, again, another reason for the trip. And so it was really neat to kind of get over there and just think, like, oh my gosh, like, cool. And it's like Wisconsin. Like, I didn't realize how similar it was, and I was like, okay, I get why German people came here, because it looks exactly the same. Except their sheep have long tails, which I didn't realize that. I saw a sheep, and I was like, look, sheep. And the tail, apparently we cut them off here, or we don't grow them here, one of the two. And so I don't know, Ms. G, if you want to talk about why you travel, because I know you travel quite a bit too.
I love to travel. I did a semester abroad in college and all that good stuff. And so one of the reasons Mr. Birch and I wanted to start this trip, so we're taking one this summer, but what we really want to get them going is because my first experience traveling was in 9th grade here at the high school, taking a trip to New York. So, and I just know for me that was kind of the catalyst to really enjoying travel and getting to have a lot of cool experiences, and I just want to be able to try to give kids the opportunity to do that too.
Yeah.
Kind of get out in the world and see something new, that kind of stuff.
How many guys have been out of North America before? Oh, few. All right, cool. That's awesome. And was it super fun? Was it awesome? Would you do it again? Yes, and so I think that's a lot, and when I was talking to some of my students and stuff, I was like, hey, how many of you guys have been out of the state? And there's usually a couple in every class who haven't been out of Wisconsin, and then a few haven't been out of the US, and then a few that have gone past there, and only one or two have actually been out of North America, either Australia was one, or I think some Philippines or something like that, some super tropical destination. And so, why this type of travel? There's a lot of benefits to it. One of the cool things that we've seen, granted, we haven't done our trip this summer, so when we get back, we're going to be able to talk to this a whole lot more and kind of what it was like, and hopefully how cool it was and what we got to see. But I think just the fact that you can see all the stuff that we learn about, the different things that you get taught, whether in college or high school. Some people do really well by going somewhere and learning about it that way. Other people can read the book and they're like, that's good enough for me. This way it gives you that hands-on, gives you that opportunity to really dive into whatever it is. You're actually in the culture. You're not just seeing it in a book or even holding a piece of pottery or something from there. You're actually there seeing it. I like how they include get students off screens because, yeah, I think that's a big part of it. So we'll have to figure out ways to limit screens when we're there. So that way, we can enjoy just being there. And then they actually literally interact with the world. There's one of the cool things that we've talked to Mr. Johnson about and Ms. Baldwin is that anyone who happens to go on one of these trips, if you're still in high school, you can get elective or a social studies credit for doing this trip. So kind of a nice bonus. That social studies is one of the higher credit requirement ones where you need 3.5 social studies credits in order to, as part of your graduation requirements. And so this allows you to do this, have fun, do a little work that's associated with it, and then you get half a credit for it, which is a semester's worth. And I believe EF also runs a college program too, where you can get college credit for it as well. It's for way cheaper than you could just taking a pre-credit course at UWSP or whatever.
Do you know if Rapid School District also does?
That, I don't know. We could ask. I mean, EF offers that, so I think they have one where you can do it through them, send it in, and then they grade it, and then send your transcripts. So it might, because they do work with schools all over the place. So I don't see why they wouldn't. Or if they just are like, hey, if you go and they turn it into you and you guys grade it, and we're like, yeah, they did good, then maybe. I don't see why not. That's something we could ask. So yeah, we'll write that down. And then also, some people traveling is a thing. They really like doing it, and you don't know that you like it until you actually go and do it. It's one of those things where, yeah, you can go in Wisconsin, we can drive around and go see different cities and things like that, but it's not the same as actually going to experience something else, or actually eating a bratwurst in the place where bratwursts were probably invented, you know, like, that's crazy. So EF is part of the reason why we decided to go with EF, because believe me, as teachers, I'm sure Ms. G can attest to this, I get emails and phone calls all the time from people who are like, you should come on a trip with us. There's like a bunch of different companies that do this. And EF is consistently like, I'm not paid by them, just by the way. So like, this isn't me like trying to get money through them or anything like that. Like, they have some of the best ratings out of all the travel companies, all the educational tour companies that schools use. They have, as it says, they've been doing this for a really long time. So since the 80s, and I want to say probably even before then. They have people all over the world. They have, I think, a location in almost every country that they go to. So like, if we would have problems and we're in Germany, they've got a place in Berlin where they can send someone right away. I think if we're in Prague and we have an issue, they've got somebody in Prague where they can send someone right away. So we're not waiting for someone to fly in from France or like London or something like that. They've got places in all these countries around the world where they go to, and they're there 365 days a year. And they're accredited as well. So it's one of these things where they are accredited, they do have to go through accreditation in order to do that. And so they have that, and it's pretty sweet. So what we're gonna do, and you guys have them, it should be on your, thank you. It kind of goes through the same thing, just obviously in a bigger version. In Berlin, we're gonna fly into Berlin, and we're there for 2 nights. I think the first night that we're there, I don't know if it goes, let me see if it goes through a little further. Oh yes, it does. So this is kind of what it looks like. Berlin to Dresden to Prague. I believe this is all on tour, like we're on like a coach bus when we're there. So we're coach busing through it. Prague, a couple nights there. In Krakow, a couple of nights. Driving through the mountains, like I said, I don't know if we're stopping there at all. That's going through Slovakia, and then lastly we finish up in Hungary and Budapest, do a couple things there, and then fly home. Yeah.
How long would these like coach bus trips be to each particular location?
I couldn't tell you 100% for sure, but Google can. So if you type in Berlin to Dresden, it'll give you, I'm sure it's probably just like 3-4 hours trips. You know, most of the stuff, I think Germany's like twice as big as Wisconsin if you're looking at land size, or fairly similar. So it's, you know, they're not super far away, but you know, there will be some drive time and things like that. But we've never driven through Europe before, so kind of cool. Good scenery. Maybe you'll see sheep with long tails. You never know. So yeah. So the day one, you fly over into Germany. You take a walking tour of Berlin. When I was in Germany, actually this past January, we did a walking tour in Frankfurt. It was actually really cool. It was a walking tour, so we walked for like 3 hours, and it wasn't like, all right, look at over here, look at here. It was like, hey, look at this church. Like, all right, we go to the church, we check it out, and then they're like, okay, let's go over here, and then we like walk like a quarter mile, half mile down the road, and then we could like see this bridge. And so like we were really walking, so it wasn't like we did have time to stop and take pictures and things like that. But it really was a legit walking tour where you were just, she was, you know, and on your left, you're going to see this, and she's talking as she's walking, different things like that. So it was really cool. You're going to get to see a bunch of really cool sites. They've got the, that's the Brandenburg Gate, I believe. Checkpoint Charlie, I think, is on there. The Topography of Terror War Museum, which I'm not 100% sure what that was, but it sounds super cool. And you get to see the Berlin Wall, like the largest like remaining piece of the Berlin Wall is there, and we're going to go see. And then after that, we bus over to Dresden, and again, a walking tour there. And then make our way to Prague, which is in the Czech Republic. As you can see, some really cool architecture. I think some of these buildings have been around for, I want to say they were built like in the 14 to 1500s, and they're still up and in use and things like that. So really seeing some historical architecture and just getting to kind of experience Prague, the Babel Cathedral, which looked really cool, a guided tour of Krakow. There's a whole day dedicated, at least, I don't know what their idea of a whole day is. I'm assuming it says day 7. So if you're interested in World War II, we're actually going to see Auschwitz and Birkenau, which is like the 2 big concentration camps there. And so That's honestly that's probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most, especially since I'm teaching a class on the Holocaust, and it's something I've been really interested in for a really long time. And so we get to see the memorial and the museum there. Bus through the mountains to get to Budapest, and then there's a Budapest baths experience. Check out the Matisse, it's either Matthias or Matisse Church with a local expert, and then we fly home, and then we get to like recover for a day, and then probably I'll go back to work and whatnot. It's quick. I mean, 10 days it's a decent vacation, but for all the stuff we're going to be doing, we probably are going to be kind of moving fairly quickly to it, but it does look like, during some of these things, so like day 6, we're in the cathedral, and we take a guided tour. But my guided tour that I took, it was like 3 hours. And then we have, I think in some of these spots, there's time for, you have the rest of the day to kind of, you do what you're going to do, check out the sites, do some different stuff. And it's not like we're just being herded like cattle into doing everything. There will be some free time to do different things. As far as I'm aware, we'll kind of get to experience that this summer, and we can say, yes, we had a free day here, here's what we got to do. So that'll be kind of nice to have that experience. So this is again, 13th century Buda Castle on Castle Hill. I don't know where this is, but they didn't tell me. My guess is either Prague or Budapest. But 13th century, for those of you that don't know your years, that means this was built in the 1200s. All right, so this is almost 1,000 years old, which is super cool. 800. Prague Castle. All right, again, cool Gothic architecture, combined with some modern stuff. You can see an Egyptian obelisk there. So really cool to see this in person. It looks really cool like this, but then when you can actually go there and take a picture of it, pretty intense. In Budapest, the Fisherman's Bastion. Again, you can kind of see some, almost looks like very, I'm not an architectural kind of guy, but to me it kind of looks like you get some Russian stuff in there with the color schemes and different things like that. So that's kind of interesting, all the spiraling towers and different things like that. Berlin Wall history, for those that don't know. Actually, we're coming up on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. I believe it was November 9th, I think, when the wall fell in 1980, no wait, is it 90 or was it 89?
89.
89. So that's kind of cool. So we're gonna get to see some of that. And the food, again, I know, this is why we all want to go. We want to eat pierogies in Poland, like, that's what we want to do. But yeah, so everything that we're there, and they take care of breakfast, they take care of like regional style dinners. So when we're there, this is what we're gonna get to eat, the stuff that you should be eating when you're in a foreign country, not let's go to McDonald's. Although I will say, all right, I don't think we're probably gonna get to go there, but this summer when we go, I just saw a video where there was I sent it to Miss G actually, and my wife. There's a McDonald's in Rome where they it's got glass floors, and like underneath it must have been a burial site because there's like a skeleton that you can see. Like legit, real. I don't think it was fake. I'm assuming it was a real like burial thing. And I was like, okay, I kind of want to go to that McDonald's. But like you said, they take care of you. They've got you'll have like the regional dinners for the different countries where you're at. So if you've ever wanted to try some of this stuff in the places where it was, and I'm not gonna lie, when I went to Germany, we had like the traditional like German meat, essentially the Wiener Schnitzel, the sauce. It was arguably the best food that I've eaten in a really, really long time. So yeah, it was super cool. So our travel dates, because we're traveling so far out in advance, they can't say here's your 10-day slot. So if you're looking for what, Mr. Birch, what time frame should I block off for this trip? What they tell us right now is that basically if you block off, the earliest we would leave is like July 24th. That's the earliest we would leave. So then you just count 10 days from there, and that's when we come back. The latest we would ever return would be August 8th. So that's the window that we have to work from. We find out about 2 to 3 months before tour. Like, we don't know when the one for the summer yet, but she said we're like 95% of.
Because we have such a large group.
Yeah.
Like, we're to the point where we have to have 2 buses because we have so many people, so then they guarantee your dates a little bit more because they can book so much.
Yeah, so the more people we get signed up, the more likely we are to get whatever dates we want as well, so, which is always a good thing. depending on how big our group is, if we only get, let's say, 20 people signed up, which if we do, that's great. We'd like to get more, but if we don't, it's not a huge deal. They can combine us with another tour, which in and of itself, like, is not a bad thing. We get to meet some new people, you know, probably kids can make some new friends and whatnot, get the Snapchats, all that stuff, you know, and everything there. But otherwise, if we get enough people, we can have just essentially a Nekoosa trip, which, again, that's kind of cool, because then you're not traveling with people that you don't know, you know, and you're like, oh, this guy snores when he sleeps, like, I don't want to be with that guy. And so it just depends, especially if they're kind of getting the similar dates and things like that. So it really just depends on our tour size and things, and how, you know, how that all lines up. And so yeah, so if you're in your calendar, my wife's a calendar person. I've become more of a calendar person, but in my phone, like I still don't use the paper calendars, but I will, you know, I'll block stuff off. So if you're looking for what do I block off, those are the 2 dates, the start date and the end date, and it's going to be somewhere in there. That's the latest you're going to return. That's going to be the latest or the earliest you leave. So, what'd you say? Oh yeah. So what do we get? So round trip airfare is included on this. So it's the flight there and back. The hotel stays at good locations. Part of the reasons why we ended up going with this particular trip versus some of the other ones we were looking at in Europe is the reviews from other people that went on it this past summer. They said all the places they stayed at were all really good. They didn't have any issues. It was some of the other trips that we looked at, they were like, they were like, the views were great and things like that. But the hotels we stayed at, they were like 3-star hotels or like 2-star hotels. You know, like in their opinion, obviously we're Americans, so we probably have a higher standard because we're babies like that. But like, you know, we're like, oh no, that pill looks fluffed. I'm gonna give this a 1-star. But that was part of the reason though, because this one, most of the ratings on this one were 4 or 5s, where there were a few like 2s and 3s on some of the other ones, and a lot of them were pertaining to the hotels and how sometimes they didn't have central air and different things like that. When you're in the summertime and it's 100 degrees out, you want to have central air to cool you down, and they didn't have that. You get the breakfast and the dinner, so the regional style of that. We do have a director tour who's with us all the time that we're on our trip. Transportation, which is the comfortable motor coach bus. I don't think I've been on a coach bus, so I don't know how comfortable they are. Has anyone been on a coach bus? And are they pretty comfortable? Yeah. Cool, all right. So I'm gonna say that they're not lying when they tell us that. They're gonna give us expert guides when we go to all these different cities. So when we have the walking tours, it's gonna be not just like me being like, oh, that's, hang on, that's a castle, I think, wait. You know, they have people that know what they're talking about. They either live there, they've done that. They probably, a lot of them, you know, they take courses on this stuff and they know the history and they know the cool things that happen in the city, so they can point out the neat stuff when we go by them. And then any sightseeing, all of that stuff, where we're gonna go and see these different places, they're actually gonna be able to tell us more information and things like that. And I don't know about you guys, like every time that I've gone to a national park or something like that, and if you take the time to listen to the people that present on whatever it is, so much information and so good, versus you can go there by yourself and just wander around and it's still a great experience. But when you have someone there like telling you what happened here and you actually know what it is, that when you walk out there, you're like, oh my gosh, like people died right here. That's a morbid thought, but it's kind of cool that I'm standing here now, you know. I'm a history person, sorry, I get morbid like that. But it makes it that much better. You can experience it and just kind of get a better feel for what the history is. And then also anywhere we go, you know, the different places, the landmarks, the attractions, all that stuff, all those fees are taken care of as well. So the things that you guys need that you'll be responsible for, so like passports, obviously, like we're not getting your passports for you. I think that's illegal. I don't think they let us do that. So you have to get your own passports. Usually, because we're so far out, we have plenty of time though. So I mean, we're literally 2 years, just under 1,000 days actually from when this trip would leave. So you have your time, but don't delay on that. If you take any extra baggage or any baggage fees that aren't, you know, I'm not sure, do we know, like, is it like a carry-on for the one we're doing this summer, do you know, or you get one carry-on kind of thing, or, okay. So depending on, you know, the airline you take and things like that, obviously you guys know, sometimes they charge for carry-on, sometimes they don't. If there's any extra baggage fees, you'd be responsible for that. Tips for the guys, the bus drivers, the tour director, those are always welcome and appreciated. The lady on the phone, the lady that we're working with, Jamie, she pretty much said, what was it? I think if everyone, I think she said something like $10 a day, essentially, would cover all the different things that you do for all the different tours and things like that. So just as an extra way of saying, hey, thanks for driving us through the mountains so we didn't die and all that good stuff. And then also the other things would be snacks or some meals, some lunches, things like that. I think those aren't provided. So you just either have to be able to pack stuff or just bring some money for that thing. So nothing super out of the ordinary here. And it's pretty reasonable as far as what I'm looking at, especially knowing what you get for the price here. So again, we already kind of talked about.
Also, transportation to and from Chicago.
Oh yes, yeah.
So right now, for our trip this summer, I'm still getting price quotes for a coach bus to take us to and from Chicago so that we don't have to physically drive ourselves. And I'm still getting price quotes right now. It's like roughly about $70 round trip per person. So that's not included there. So people have the option, and some people are choosing to get themselves to the airport. But just because of the number of people we have going, obviously our 2 school vans can't accommodate that many people because there's like 55 of us. But I'm still getting quotes, so I'm hoping it'll be a little cheaper, but that is also not included. So if you were to choose to ride the bus, there's just going to be an extra charge for that.
Yes.
They're gonna spend more than that to park there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I just like, gosh, I just don't want to have to drive when we get back.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, coming back from a 10-hour, 8-10-hour flight. I don't know how far away. Germany was 8 hours, I think. And we left, and it was light when we left, and it was dark when we got back. It was like midnight, and I was so tired to not. And I didn't have to drive back. I'm glad because I would have fell asleep. It would not have been good.
And more than likely, Chicago would be our.
Yeah.
It could be Minneapolis, but generally they said their flights are cheaper out of Chicago, so that's what we'll make.
So another reason to not have to drive in Illinois, I'm all for that. So, but so again, safety-wise, like EF is really good. They've got, like you said before, they've got places, buildings in every country pretty much that they're in. They know what they're doing. They've got safety. They've got response teams around. They're really good as far as health standards. You have that 24/7 tour director. You have the different guides. You have the chaperone team support as well, which will be like myself and other teachers and staff and stuff here that are going to be going with us, depending on how many people we have going. And so we'll have all that stuff there. So it's, if you're sending your child by themselves, because some people do that, like, you got you covered. And if you're coming with, cool, glad to have you. Like, the more the merrier. That's kind of the way we're seeing it, and it should be pretty fun. Again, educationally, you can earn a half of a high school credit. There's like a little guide that you can do, and actually it's a pretty cool way to do it. I think for the high school, I don't think we're making you like do it and submit it to them, and then they'll grade it and they'll send it to us. I think you'll do it since I'm here or Miss G's here. We'll look, we were on the trip, we know what you should have learned-ish, so you can do whatever you need to do. We'll look at it, we'll grade it, and then, as long as it's done fairly well, you'll get the credit for it. I don't think they'll put a grade attached to it. My guess is it'll just be, you'll get a credit or you won't get a credit. Don't worry. So that's that. And again, if, like Rapids, and I know we're hoping to get maybe some Port Edwards people too, and that's one thing that we can kind of offer them as well. College credit, again, you can get 3 college credits. You take a 16-week tuition-based course related to your tour experience. I don't know what that one was. But that's there, and I don't think it's going to be it's probably going to be a lot cheaper than it would be if you took that in a thing. And then they also, EF has college essay help. So if you want to use your time on tour as like an entrance essay, some colleges do that, they will help you with that. And so that way it'll sound really cool, and the colleges might be like, hey, we want Joe, because Joe wrote a really cool college essay, so. As far as what you get out of it, there's a lot of stuff, and it's really cool to kind of think of seeing our students in Nekoosa, and it'll be really fun to see them, like the ones that go on the tour with us this summer and then are back, to just know that they got to experience something that is going to be a really, they probably won't experience again for quite some time, unless they choose to do a semester abroad, or they, end up traveling when they get older. And so you get to kind of see new things. You get to understand what it's like to be a student, here in Nekoosa maybe, who doesn't speak English 100%. And so then you can experience the struggle of having to communicate with people who don't speak your native language, or at least speak it very well. You get to see what life is like outside of the US, right? Because I know we often have our kind of idealized view of what it is here in the US, which is probably a good thing. But at the same time, when we go out there and we get to see what it's like in a different place, just the history and everything that goes along with it, you get that expanded worldview, and you kind of get to take off your glasses for a little bit and see it through somebody else's eyes. Again, discover more about yourself, because as we're doing some of those tours where maybe we are seeing what people had to go through in this stuff, or when we go to the Berlin Wall and never realizing that we had we would get shot if we approached it even, and we don't have that here. And so they are going to get to understand more about themselves. What would they do in that situation? And then lastly, maybe there's something here that a student, or honestly, even one of the adults, you latch onto and just say, you know what, I saw this there, and that really, it moved me, and I want to try to make a difference either there, or maybe bring some of that stuff here and move forward with it, or anything like that. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do in order to kind of expand yourself as a person. And I think both as an adult, again, but especially as a student, because there's so much more that you can do with travel and things like that, how it affects people, and it's one of the great things about it. Again, this is kind of EF stuff. This number here, if you guys have your phones, if you want to pull this out really quick, that's where if you do sign up, and sometimes, and Miss G can attest to this, because Miss G's the leader for the trip that we're doing this summer. Sometimes you guys have questions that we can't answer. Or we maybe can't get you an answer fast enough, where if you call that number, they can get you an answer right away. Where instead of having to play email tag back and forth, you can call that, and they can do all that stuff. Parents, students, any questions about payments, any dietary needs you might need on the trip, how do we do this, what if this happens, what about this aspect or this potential scenario, they've got it for you. And they've been doing it, like I said, over 55 years, so they know what they're doing, they have experience with it. It's whatever situation arises, it's probably something they've dealt with hundreds of times, if not even more than that. So we have a travel team that works with us, so Jamie's the girl at EF who's helped us put this together and kind of walking us through everything. It's that we work with for the last trip too. So she works with us on this part of it. Once we kind of get set up and rolling, and then eventually we're going to get shifted onto, who's our current one? Is it like Jada or something like that, or Gail? Gabby. I was close. So we get moved on to another girl, but she's been really helpful. Anytime she has a question, she can email, and then she either sets up a phone call or a Zoom call, or she just gets back to us in email, and it's really quick. Never a long turnaround for that. So it's super cool. With that, we have a tour director. The tour director is bilingual. We're going to 4 countries, so I hope they're quadlingual. I don't know what that would be, but yeah, quadlingual, so that way they can speak Czech and German and Slovakian and Hungarian. And Polish. So hopefully, I'm assuming they do. And honestly, most of the people in those foreign countries can speak multiple languages, because they deal with a lot of different people. But they're able to handle all the logistics of the tour itself once we get there. That's going to be our go-to person of, hey, here's what we do. They'll get us there. And so they'll give us all the history, the culture. There'll be someone, they're going to be able to kind of do that stuff as well. And then I'm the group leader. That's me. I don't have my picture up there, but I thought it was kind of redundant to put that on there as well, because I'm not going to share the PowerPoint out. So I'm the group leader this year for this trip. Miss G is still going to be coming along. She's kind of like the second in command. And so we get to, like she said, this is our second trip that we're offering. Normally, it was kind of weird, when we were talking about the current one, and a travel partner would do, they're like, hey, by the way, have you thought about doing another trip? And we're like, we haven't even gone on this one yet, sister, hang on, But she had said, well, just so you know, we're actually letting you do this, like, because when we first signed up for the one this summer, you can only do this 2 years in advance, which, you know, was still quite enough time out. But then she said, actually, you have the opportunity you can save it right now, and that way you've got almost 3 years to save up for the trip and plan for it. And we're like, wow, that's actually really cool. Especially for anyone that missed the opportunity or maybe their kids weren't old enough or whatever, and they couldn't go on this trip this summer. This is a chance for you guys to hop on board this one and be, you know, a part of this whole aspect of it. So the booking, again, like, it's super easy to do. And it's really fun, fun, it's never fun, well, it is fun to book a trip. I remember we booked our trip 2 years ago when we signed up for this one, and my wife was getting super excited. She's like, oh my gosh, we're going to Europe and Rome and Greece and all that stuff. And then, honestly, she's talked about that quite a bit over the last 2 years. So hey, get excited, it'll be super fun. She's already got like what clothes you want to wear, and she's been looking at like temperatures, and which is all smart stuff to look up, by the way. Things that I wouldn't bother looking up. That's why I got married, it was great. So if, one of the cool things about EF as well is that if something would happen, right, like Hungary, like it's kind of close to where Israel is, right? Like it's down there, that's kind of the big thing. Ukraine is right over there. So if something would happen in the world where they're like, we cannot do this trip, like it's gonna be too dangerous for us to go, they will find us a different trip that fits in that same time frame, probably, I'm assuming, right around that same budget, and we'll get to do that instead. So even though it's not our original one, they have that. Or if for whatever reason you just can't go, they have refunds and things like that that are available. And that's all part of like the travel protection as well. So you get a travel protection. I think it's a little bit more. I forget how much she said it was. This last trip it was like 190. I think it's a little bit more than that this time around because it's 2 years later and prices have gone up. But for an additional, and that's included, that gives you it's baggage, coverage, property, trip cancellation, interruption, and things like that. If you want to get more protection to kind of, if you're really nervous about that stuff, you want to make sure that you're getting all the possible coverage you can possibly get. There is a Global Travel Protection Plus, which is an additional $350, but it's offered to you when you enroll. And it's got all the benefits of the top one, but it also allows for cancellation for any reason. So if you're like, my big toe hurts and I don't want to walk around, and as long as it's before 24 hours before the trip leaves, you can get, you can cancel and you can get your refund. You can get your money back. I know, you'd think.
Do those include any like medical?
I believe it does. As far if there's issues that happen, you have to go home, kind of thing,
Or if you're sick out there.
I think it does. I'm pretty sure that's included in there. I can find out for sure though. Do you remember if it does? What was
I
that?
think there was some type of like accident.
Yeah.
So where someone falls.
But
and
I'll
breaks
look
something.
here.
Okay.
Somebody destroys the National Monument.
That one you might be on your own.
Yeah, that would be, you're on your own.
Mishy, you'll have Matt in your group. No, so if you enroll by November 5th, now I know it's a really quick turnaround, but there is, the cool thing about that is it's when you enroll, it's a $95 enrollment fee, but if you enroll by November 5th, you have 2 weeks to kind of think about it and do that. And if you are like, you know what, thought about it, I don't think I'm going to be able to swing this, as long as you cancel within the 2 weeks, you'll be able to get a full refund of the money, of that small down payment that you made to kind of lock in your price, which is super cool. And if it's after that, I mean, again, you just won't get that initial deposit back. So it's kind of something to think about. EF has a couple of cool things. They do offer scholarships that students can apply for. I believe that there's a, how much is it? I think it's I forget how much they said. I want to say it's like up to like $1,000, maybe a little bit more that EF offers. But I was also, Jamie also sent me a link and for anyone, once people get signed up, we can send that out as well. There's a scholarship that Wisconsin, like travelers, like I don't know if it's EF people or if it's just a group of people that have traveled with EF, but they've also put in, you can get a scholarship for that as well, strictly for Wisconsin people that are traveling on this trip. So you can apply for that scholarship too. So that'll cut down the cost a little bit as well. Again, need and merit based, anybody that's enrolled can apply. So you don't have to be a student to apply for that. I think they understand that adults need to travel too, and it's important for them as well. Everyone that's enrolled, you guys will have a fundraising page, like if you want to send it out to family members or whatever, if you just want to set it up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm going to Berlin and Krakow and Budapest and Prague, and if you want to help me get there, here you go. And they've got a link and they've got like buttons that will get you right where you need to go, and you can get donations that way. Everything that gets contributed via that goes right to your balance. So it's not even like, oh, it's going to get split up among everyone. No, if Matt gets a page up and somebody's like, all right, here's $50, Matt, that goes right to Matt's balance, and then it's $50 less he doesn't have to pay, which is kind of cool. We share this with you guys, and I know this is included, but because of just what we have, seen through fundraising and different things like that, we don't really offer any fundraising for the trip, only for the fact that it's hard to, like, let's say Matt decides to go, I'm only using you because you're literally sitting right in front of me. Let's say Matt's like, hey, let's do this. And so we go and he fundraises a bunch of stuff, and it gets put into his balance and things like that. And then all of a sudden, Matt doesn't get the extra protection or anything like that. And Matt says, well, I want to leave. I want all my fundraising money back. And what do we, I don't even know what I would do, how to do that, because it doesn't come to us, it goes to EF. I don't know how that gets distributed from there. And it's just like, it's one less thing that we, as far as, especially you guys too, if you're someone who's like, oh, cool, we did all this fundraising, let's say we all do it as a group, right? But then two people in that group want to drop, and they're like, well, I fundraised, but I want that money, that I fundraised, and so it's just one less thing that we feel like you shouldn't have to worry about that. It's honestly, for us to have to worry about that, it's a lot. And so this way it's just easier. You guys, what you're gonna do, what you have to do, and it's part of the reason why we want to offer it to you early enough so that way you can plan for it. And really, it makes it a lot easier financially as well. But they have that, so if you do want to put that out there, that fundraising stuff, I know if you're a freshman, sophomore, it's going to be senior year present, graduation present, right? If you're not a sophomore or a senior, just a present, right? Like, what the heck? Why not? So again, what we get, all this stuff, we get everything we talked about that we're going to get. You get the flexible payment options. You can set up monthly payments. You can set up bi-weekly payments. You can set it up so that it costs a little bit extra. But if you want to pay the full price a month before you leave, you can do that. You don't have to do it weekly or anything like that. You get the fundraising page, you get the travel plan, protection plan that's included, the minimal one. You get just the peace of mind knowing that you're gonna be covered if anything goes wrong out there. We have the 24/7 safety and incident response team, traveler support, all that stuff. And then for school people, if you guys are still in school, you get the high school credit. You get the college credit. Looked like it was a little more in depth for that one, but you can still do it. It's probably cheaper than doing that, and you can get the college essay help. Plus, there's the scholarship offers as well. And so here's the cool stuff. Here's the prices what everyone came for, right? They're like, okay, we're done. We got half hour talking. Let's go. What's the price here, right? What's my thing? What the heck? Wait, no. Not there. Right there. There we go. Okay. My battery came loose. So this would be the enrollment fee. If you're going to pay bi-weekly, it would be $54 every 2 weeks. And both of these first two numbers include if you sign up before November 5th. This is the early enrollment discount. You get an additional, you save $200. And also what I was told, and I don't know if she put it on here, so maybe I'll just wait really quick. So this would be the $200 off, $100, $108 a month for the next, what is that, 24 plus 9, 32 months, something like that. That's what it is. And the full price, this is without the discount. So for students, you're looking at $38.29, which I think our trip this summer was like 44, 45, wasn't it?
For kids, it was 42.
Yeah, for students it was 42 with the discount. So it's a lot cheaper than that one. For adults, it's the $44.89. And then with the discount, then so it's $600 cheaper than the trip that we're doing this summer. And the adults can still get the $200 discount as well. Yes.
So with the price, like with the weekly or monthly, you can, is that like something that you have to arrange with?
Yeah, you can set it up like
Yeah.
with your bank. Yeah, and they'll just pull it right out of your account.
So it's not just like a subscribe thing you get for
No, it comes out of the bank account. Yeah. Yep. And so so this one right here, this is with that $200 discount. If the full price is there, it's a little bit more. You just have to add $200 for 24 months. So you're probably looking at 115 or something like that instead of 108 for that payment option. And I don't know that it's yeah, so like I said, there are manual payment options available. It costs a little bit more to do that, but you can just pay in smaller chunks if you don't want to pay every month. They will let you do that. We saw some people that are signed up for the trip this coming summer and they've just put their deposit down and that's it. So they're just gonna pay, hopefully, in one big thing right at the end. And then, yeah, Jeff, question.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so when this trip happens, I will be graduating.
Yep.
So will I still
Get a student rate?
student
Yep.
rate?
Because you're signing up when you're a student.
Okay.
Yep. As long as you
You're
are.
gonna be, are you gonna be 19 when you graduate?
I will be 18.
Okay, then you're fine. Anyone who's 19 at the time of the trip is considered a student. So if you graduate at the time of the trip, if you're 19, because I think, isn't your son he's still.
Yeah, my
student,
oldest is
he'll have
going
to be
this summer, but
college.
he'll still be 19 and he'll still count as a student then. So here's the thing. The extra, let me see. Oh yeah, there is one. Okay. There's 15 guaranteed spots. It says that on there. I'm not gonna lie to you. They were like, tell them there's less spots and then more people will sign up. Okay, I probably shouldn't tell you that, but there's more spots. Okay, so if we get to 15 tonight, which we barely have 15 people here, but that's cool if we do. Just sign up. You'll get out. Don't worry about it.
We had so many people sign up for the summer that's how we ended up with a second bus.
Yeah. It was
They
kind
didn't
of
stop
crazy.
it, so.
Yeah, so it is you have it's $95 to sign up, and then like I said, if you do that before Sunday, yes, is, wait. Is that Sunday? Is Sunday the 5th? Yes, okay. So as long as you sign up by Sunday, you get that 14-day risk-free enrollment period. So like if you're looking at, you do it, you're like, okay, let's do it. And then you're like, shoot, we shouldn't have done that. You can still back out, you'll get your $95 back. If you sign up, and then obviously if you do it after that 14-day period, you won't get the deposit back, but you still have that option to kind of do that back up. They say the enrollment deadline is November 12th. Yes, you should sign up as soon as possible, only because we know the longer you wait, the less likely it is that you'll talk yourself out of going or give yourself a million reasons why you shouldn't go. And the sooner you sign up and just lock yourself in, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna do this, you know. The other thing is, I talked to Jeannie, she did actually, it was 300. She said that anyone that signs up tonight and is eligible, they'll get put in like a little drawing for an extra $300 off your thing. So it'll be $500 off total for one student. So this would just be for a student who enrolls tonight. They'll get the extra $300 off. It'll be a scholarship. We're gonna have a phone call or a Zoom call with her tomorrow, and then we'll do it then, and then we'll email whoever it is that signed up and said, hey, you got an extra $300 off. So just so that's where, so instead of, so your trip is actually $3,300 as opposed to the 36 or even the 38 if you didn't get the 200 off. So kind of a cool little incentive to get signed up and all that stuff. And so this is this is your link to sign up right here. You got your phone, you can go ahead and pop that and get signed up. I'm just gonna reach. Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was more after that, so I just wanted to make sure. Do you guys have any questions? Like, what questions do you have for us? Do you need me to answer that for you?
Is there going to be information about like what to pack?
Yeah, there will be. Like, what do you have from ours?
For this summer?
Yeah.
So she's provided me with information to share, especially regarding like the weather and things like that. She's not familiar with the Mediterranean, I guess. But yes, there will also be information about like any vaccinations they might require, which as of right now, while we're going on, there aren't. But they keep up to date with all that. So like COVID or anything health-wise that's going on, they keep us informed. But we will provide that, information about what they should bring along, things like that. I just want to reiterate too that on tour, the only things that you really have to worry about as far as what wasn't covered in the price. So some lunches, because some lunches end up being kind of an on your own thing. The tips for the driver and whatnot. And then I feel like
Souvenirs.
souvenirs. So like you're spending money, but otherwise like the transportation while we're there, the hotels while we're there, I mean, they really pack a lot into the price. And we know it's expensive. I completely understand. But that's one of the reasons we went with EF is when I compared, we did a lot of research.
Yeah.
When we compared what the costs were and what was included, EF was, the other places weren't even really close.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some that it was like the airfare wasn't included. I'm like, how am I supposed to like get kids an airline ticket? That seems great. So that was one of the reasons we went with EF. Another reason was because of the payment plan option. Like when they told us 3 years instead of 2 now, we were really excited because some people said that made a difference for them. I know it does for me. And the ability to do the fundraising page, the fundraising thing, we're such a small school district and I respect like our athletic programs and our music programs and stuff. They've got a lot of fundraisers going on. And because EF could offer that fundraising page, so you could say to like grandma, like, hey, can you support my trip? And then the money just goes directly to that student. That was another reason we chose them too, because I don't want to take away from established programs that are already doing fundraising, and we do a lot of it.
Yeah.
So
That
was the reason for that.
Buy a mattress from someone this weekend that benefits the band program,
I
and the
bought
music
one once.
program.
Great.
Yeah, and Miss G has a mattress and it's really good. So
That's great.
if you're looking in the market for a mattress.
And then also, I just had other teacher colleagues who used EF, and they love them. They said they're fantastic. Adam's Friendship this summer is going to Peru,
Yeah.
I think, with EF, and they're just, like I said, really well established. So
I think Westfield's
we
going.
wouldn't be launching another trip without actually taking our trip, but it was that 3-year thing. Otherwise, we would have launched it right after we came back next year. So, and then it says, the sign up. They say like, oh, don't tell them that. If people still wanted to go to Greece and Italy this summer, they could still sign up for the trip now. So as much as we would love people to sign up soon, just so we kind of got a really good idea of how many before I invite Port Edwards students possibly to come with us. Realistically, if someone decided a year from now they really wanted to go, we can do that. That's okay. We just really wanted people that would appreciate the 30 plus months to have the chance to do that. And they are really great about setting up a payment plan that works for people. And then, we don't have anything to do with that. So if you did sign up and you have a question about finances, that all goes through EF, but they're extremely helpful. Anyone that I've had call has said that they've just been great. So.
Is there any educational material provided beforehand as to, like
For the credit, like is that we're talking about, or for like the place where we're
like
going?
the stuff you're gonna be seeing?
Oh.
They send emails. We've been getting emails that you can open and kind of go and look at stuff, but.
That's a really good point.
I haven't even for
Yeah.
Caleb.
We should do that.
I like this, I use my email for him.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
We're history teachers.
Yeah.
We can all that stuff. Yeah, I would say that's something, that's a good, I mean, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, if they're gonna do it for credit, for sure, we still have to just kind of figure that out, because Mr. Johnson just approved that recently. We will definitely have something, but for people who aren't doing it for credit too, I think we could put something.
Yeah, we
together.
can find something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The EF, I know, does start sending things out much closer to the trip to the kids, like via email and whatnot, but we can definitely do that too.
Yeah. Let's make a class.
Yeah.
We got 2 years, right? This is for everyone going on the trip. Come take this class.
And as far as like, if you're just sending your student and you're not planning on going, that's what Mr. Birch and I, Mrs. Birch,
This
I
boy.
think, yeah, and Mr. Johnson, I think is gonna come
Yeah.
on this trip. But we're all here for everybody, but specifically the kids that are there without their own chaperone, they're with us. So they will be watched,
Yep.
so. Okay. That's a lot of information, so.
I know it is. Sorry, I said a half hour. I went over a lot. I get excited though. It's talking about travel, and like again, this is one of these trips where I saw that and I was like, this is where I want to go. Like, and then actually looking at the different places and seeing that and realizing that yeah, this would be really cool. And I think it would just be a great experience for any student that goes along with it. And honestly, any adult too. Because how often you get to do this, you know? Yeah. Any other questions or anything? Yeah.
Yeah, so, if you, I'm just looking at the enrollment thing, we make 32 monthly payments of $111, I'm guessing, so $95 for like the standard.
Yeah, to sign
And
up.
then-
Yep.
That's what, how much money is that, $35 for
What do we do?
$6? Why is it $111?
No, 95 is just that's what you have to pay to
So
sign
you
up.
pay to start.
And then and then it's not minus 95. It's just $108, 111 goes right to your trip. Then.
What's that for me? Is
So. What was that?
the link you're looking at? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So we do have this recorded. Mr. McKeever's gonna get it like pulled off, and we can send it out to you guys.